Hey guys, and welcome back to our talk show here on the web. So today's theme, we're going to compare two presidents. We asked you guys all over social media which presidents you guys wanted us to compare, and the results are in. So the presidents we are going to compare are the first president, George Washington, and the 28th, Woodrow Wilson. On today's episode, we have a very special guest, and I'm pretty sure you guys have seen her on other social platforms. Her name is Leah Hurd.
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so glad to be here. I watch it all the time.
Of course, Leah, we're glad to have you. Tell us a scoop.
So, over the years there's been talk about who's the best president. And today we're going to settle this with the POTUS Smackdown. So we're going to do this by looking at two very special presidents in American history. America's very first president, George Washington, and the noble Woodrow Wilson.
But Leah, those two presidents are very different. How will you even compare the two?
Very good question, Bianca. So we're going to do this by breaking it up into three categories that I think a president should have to be a good president. So the first one is the ability to communicate, the ability to understand the public, and the ability to compromise. So let's get into it. So first, the competition in understanding the public goes to Washington. Washington experienced firsthand the effects of rising taxes imposed on American colonists by the British. This made him able to understand the public because he used to stand right alongside with the public, so his ability to understand them was easier. Wilson just claimed to speak not for himself but for the American people. But when it comes to the ability to communicate, Wilson wins that category by a landslide. He was able to use media with such remarkable power and success, better than any president in American history. Washington wasn't that awful in this category. He consulted with his cabinet, listening to their advice. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are 1-1 in our Smackdown. But luckily, no need to fear. Tie-breaking Leah is here. When it comes to compromise, Washington won. Easily. A time where Wilson ignored a major compromisation was when the Treaty for the League of Nations came before Senate for ratification. Some objections were raised, but Woodrow refused to make any changes to the plan and continued to build support for his version of the plan. Unlike Washington, when he compromised with the salary Congress offered. But if you ask me, I would make that compromise as well, if you catch my drift. So that's all from me, folks. Back to you, ladies, and thanks again for having me.
Thank you so much, Leah. I definitely think that you made some great points that we can all agree on. In regards to Washington and his openness to new ideas, originally he had wanted to remain non-committal with the nation's affairs, but after Shays' Rebellion erupted in Massachusetts, Washington knew he had to do something to mediate the situation. As a result, a convention was held in Philadelphia in 1786 to amend the Articles of Confederation. The purpose was to improve the nation's government.
That's a good point, Frida. But Wilson, for instance, signed the national income tax into law in 1913 at the very outset of his administration. In the same year, he pushed the Federal Reserve Act through Congress. Early plans for this act had envisioned a private board, but under Wilson's leadership, the Federal Reserve was created as a government
There isn't much political courage that we know Wilson to be known for, but there is one important key element to his story. We know that when he advocated for the 14 points, the U.S. was in an isolationist mood after the war and wanted no part in the League of Nations. Even though this was the mindset of the U.S. at the time, Woodrow Wilson still had the political courage to go on with his plans and advocate for the 14 points. And he did this knowing that Congress and the people of the U.S. weren't for it.
In regards to Washington and his political courage, the very first president being the very first commander-in-chief of the American Revolutionary War. Talk about pressure. Am I right? Or what do you guys think?
Yeah, Frida, you're right. Washington definitely had a lot on his plate. But I still think Wilson should maybe win this round.
I agree, but maybe we can let Washington slide. Right?
So the very last round that we're going to compare is Best Portrait. For me, I think Wilson wins this round because, just look at those dreamy eyes and just that look in his face and his posture and everything. He's got it good. I think it's a 10 out of 10 for sure.
Well, I think that this best portrait thing is pretty easy. Mr. Washington's ponytail, that's a big no for me.
No. That ponytail is what makes Washington such a sugar man.
So that concludes our episode for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. We believe Wilson won this SmackDown. We're posting a poll on all our social media pages, so be sure to vote and let us know what you guys think. Thanks guys, until next time.